Hello, and welcome to Mount Auburn Presbyterian Church in Cincinnati, Ohio, and our Connector Art Gallery. The gallery walk for each of our exhibitions, whether live here in the gallery or virtually online, like today, is an opportunity for us to meet our artists and to learn about their work, their inspirations, and their talent. I'm Van Ackerman. I'm a member here at Mount Auburn Church, and today it is my pleasure to introduce Craig Britton. Craig, thank you for taking the time to be with us today and for sharing your beautiful artwork here in our gallery.
Thank you.
Craig, let's begin by having you tell us a little bit more about yourself, both personally and as an artist.
Well, I started drawing probably in junior high school and did cartoons for the local paper and the Chicago Seed way back when. Continued drawing and painting. Began to paint, I guess, when I was 17, and I was scared to death of painting, and then took a lot of life drawing classes and etching and litho. So I've been drawing and painting most of my life. Took it up seriously at age 17 when my drum set was stolen. And so pencil and paper was a lot cheaper than a new drum set, so I changed directions. My first art classes were at Gebhardt's art studio in downtown Cincinnati, 74, I believe. And then years later, I got an undergrad degree at the Art Academy of Cincinnati, then went on to get MFA at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts in Philadelphia.
Craig, before we look at your individual work, is there anything about the whole exhibition you'd like us to know?
Well, I thought when Carl offered me this opportunity, I thought it would be perfect in a church setting to have a bunch of florals, which are an expression of beauty as far as I'm concerned. I thought it might be appropriate.
Craig, now let's look at some of your individual pieces. Tell us about these paintings right here.
Well, this one here is fairly recent, and to me it was, apart from the joy of painting flowers, it was a color exploration, and believe it or not, I've been painting for 40 years, but I've learned more about color in the last 2 years than probably my whole life combined. So this was about these color shifts and the warm and cool, and also just the exuberance of painting flowers. I mean, I think that flowers are incredibly beautiful and a gift to us. And these two are painted about 10 years apart. The inspiration for them was similar. This was, again, just an expression of joy. And also that when you look at these up close, they're really quite abstract. Any little piece of them, they're quite abstract. And then when you move away, they come more into focus. But you can tell I've always been interested in color.
You said you just really learned about color the past 2 years. Why is that?
It happened on its own. It was as if all my hours of behind the brush had culminated in a deeper understanding of what color can do, even though I've been painting in color for a long time. So it's like I've been learning more about harmonies and disharmonies and how to make that work without working at it. You know, it's coming more naturally now.
One of the techniques you also use is something I believe you call suggesting and not depicting. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. In suggesting, I'm really more interested in the movement and just the exuberance of my reaction to the flowers themselves, and I'm less interested in making a true depiction of what the thing is than my response to it.
Craig, you really do capture what I'll call the personality of your flowers and your paintings. Would you tell us about this painting here?
This one's also fairly recent, and for me, apart from the obvious of reacting exuberantly to the flowers. This one was, again, another color study that kind of real organic. These colors came about organically. And I like to activate the entire surface instead of considering it foreground, middle ground, background. And so this was about these colors meeting each other. And just the asymmetrical composition was an attraction to me too.
Craig, the next painting has a very special meaning to you. Tell us why this painting is so personal to you.
Well, it was painted as a response to my fiance's sister passing on, and apart from not knowing what to do with all those feelings, I thought the best thing I could do in her honor was to paint something that I thought was beautiful. And she was also an artist and loved flowers as much as I do. So this is my tribute to her. Another thing about painting this one was that I set myself the challenge of doing a composition with no anchor to it. And so this is really just a composition of shapes. There's no vase or something for you to relate to. Here's the flowers coming out of some sort of vessel.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Craig, as an artist, how does your art help you or others that you paint for express your emotions, or in this instance, grieve the loss of that person?
That's hard to say. It's painting for me is a very immersive process. And in this case, it was either be consumed by grief or respond in a positive way. So that's what I tried to do.
We are now on the mezzanine level of our gallery, which actually encompasses a stairway up to our sanctuary here at church. Craig, tell us about the composition of this work.
Well, one of the main things that I wanted to do play with this one was that there's nothing in the center, and that again it was just an arrangement of shapes within this, and I use these diagonal lines to draw your eyes into the picture plane, and then you tend to look in a circle at the peonies, and I've always gravitated towards circular compositions.
Craig, how does the composition of this work here compare to the work you just talked about with the peonies?
Well, this one, this is a ranunculus, which is one of my favorite flowers. And this one was another endeavor to create a circular composition where these small ones lead your eye in and just keeps your eyes moving in a circle. And one of the fun things about this picture is that no matter what direction you turn it, it still works as a composition.
Craig, your next three paintings here, I think, are three of my favorites in your exhibition because they remind me of one of my favorite places in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Zoo. Is this during the zoo's Zoo Bloom exhibition or festival every spring?
Yes.
Tell us about them.
Nothing like being an artist and going to the zoo and all these tulips are in bloom. It's just wonderfully overwhelming. And so these are three. There's a series of about 6 just from that one season, and these are for the most part very, very abstract when you get up close to them. And my intent there was fields of color instead of color fields. So yeah, it was just as you heard by now, I really love flowers. So this was a response to just all this fields of color. Yeah, it's quite a service that the zoo provides us with, doing this tulip extravaganza every year.
Did you paint them at the zoo, or did you do this off of pictures? Or?
I did sketches and photos on site, and then painted them from the sketches and photos.
Very nice.
And there's small figures kind of hiding in there a couple of places.
Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't tell if they were animals or actually people.
They're bipeds.
Thank you, Craig. Your work is really, really beautiful.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And this ends our gallery walk for today. Craig's work is available for view in our gallery through mid-December. And if you'd like to see more of Craig's work, you can visit his gallery, his working studio, actually, at Pendleton Art Center, correct?
Correct.
And you can visit that on the first Fridays, I believe.
Final Friday.
Final Fridays of every month.
Correct.
And you're at the Studio 600, correct?
Yes.
Great. And
take a left off the elevator, it's at the end of the hall.
very good. And Final Fridays run from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, correct?
Yep.
Very good. Well, thank you again.